Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm going to have a discussion on classic manga and anime. Now, when I say have a discussion on classic manga and anime, what I mean by that is I want to have a discussion on people's attitudes towards them, reasons why you should be reading classic manga, reasons why you should be watching classic anime, etc, etc. So, first off, I think if you're even a little bit familiar with me, and you've seen more than a few of my videos on YouTube, you'll know that I'm a fan of classic manga and classic anime. And it might be a case that I'm preaching to the choir here. After all, I'm sure if you are a fan of mine, if you're subscribed to the channel, if you watch my content, you're probably also a fan of classic manga or classic anime. But I have distinct memories of, for those of you who have been following me for years, you remember that I used to do an event, an annual event called the 24-hour Manga Marathon, which was a marathon where you read 24 hours of manga, whether that be in one session, 2 sessions, 4 sessions, etc, etc. And you had to follow these categories, 3 of which were mandatory and then 3 others that you could kind of pick and choose from. And one of the mandatory categories was a manga that started before 1990. And to me, at the time, it didn't seem like a particularly complex category. It didn't seem like a category that would cause any controversy. But I have distinct memories of releasing that criteria and seeing many people respond saying, hey, I'd be interested in doing this manga marathon, but I won't be doing it because of the fact that you have that category, read a manga that started before 1990. And I remember thinking to myself, is it really that difficult to read a manga before 1990? To me, it didn't seem difficult at all. But since then, I've kind of pondered the question a bit, and I thought that I might share my thoughts and opinions on that. So, first off, when it comes to the entertainment industry, whether that be manga or anime, whether that be movies, novels, video games, etc, etc, I think it's fair to say that people are more interested in newer stuff, newer content. When you go out to talk to someone about some form of entertainment media, it's probably something that's been released recently. And that's just a fact. There's no getting around that. More recent media tends to be more popular. And I certainly don't want to belittle recent media. For instance, when it comes to the mediums of manga and anime, many of my favorite manga and anime are recent. But the fact is that as much content that is being produced across all of these mediums, there's only going to be relatively few of them that actually manage to reach that classic status. Many of them will be merely good, some of them will be forgettable, some of them will be downright bad. It's just a fact. And I think it's fair to say that the vast majority of any content being produced at any one moment is going to fall into those categories rather than the categories of classics or greats. As time has gone on and as I've continued to consume the mediums of manga and anime, I eventually found myself being fatigued by all these newer releases. And that's when I began to kind of come back to earlier manga, to earlier anime, and to be able to seek out the classics amongst them, and to be able to enjoy them. For instance, when it comes to anime, my recent addictions have been Mobile Suit Gundam and Lupin the Third. Both franchises, their anime incarnations began in the 1970s. And when it comes to manga, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Osamu Tezuka, who all of his content was produced between the 1940s and the 1980s, as well as many other mangaka. But a common criticism that I see when it comes to classic manga, classic anime, is that people don't like the artwork. To be fair, I kind of see why they might be put off by that. A lot of these older media, whether they be manga or anime, have a distinct look to them that contrasts quite sharply with modern anime and manga. But it's important to remember that manga and anime don't have a single art style. Within those media, there is a wide variety of different character designs, of different types of backgrounds, different types of animation in the case of anime. Not everything looks like one another, and artists are free to interpret these mediums as they wish. And there are plenty of examples that I've found of older manga, of older anime, looking better than their modern counterparts. Of course, if you're only used to the look of modern anime or modern manga, I can understand why you might be put off by these older art styles, but I would still encourage you to go and check them out. I think it's well worth doing. Of course, there is a bit of a debate as to what old is. And one of my favorite examples of this debate on what old is was, I remember I used to listen to the Manga UK podcast. This must have been back in 2013, 2014, perhaps even 2015. I can't remember, but it was one of those years. And they were discussing some messages that they received from fans of anime. And one of them made a very passionate plea for them to release older anime. And for most of the argument, it was like, great, you know, this sounds fantastic. I can perfectly see where this guy is coming from. And then he ended his message with asking Manga Entertainment to release, God, I can't even remember the name of it. It was like Bento or something like that. It was an anime from 2011. So to him, that was what an old anime was. It was like 2, 3, or 4 years old. Which I found absolutely hilarious, considering that I quite often watch anime from the 1970s. So I just found it absolutely hilarious. And it kind of made me realize that the definition of what old is varies from person to person. Quite often in my head, I think of old as anything before the 1990s, but that's my own personal kind of thoughts and opinions on the matter. The last thing I want to say is that not every classic manga or anime is good. I've come across plenty of manga and plenty of anime that came out before the 1990s and is rubbish, that I don't like. Certain examples of that would be my recent review of Speed Racer manga. I didn't particularly enjoy that, even though that's considered a quote-unquote classic. The same thing can be applied to the anime version of Cutie Honey, which I watched, reviewed, and did not enjoy. And that is definitely considered to be a classic. So just because something's a classic doesn't mean that you automatically have to like it. You are free to disagree about it, but I'm sure if you begin reading classic manga, classic anime that you like the premises of, that maybe you like the art style of, I'm sure that many of you will enjoy them, that you might find a new favorite amongst them. I just think it's important that anime and manga fans don't leave out these older series simply because of the fact that they're old. One of the reasons I came on YouTube in the first place was to promote a lot of these older media, whether they be older manga or older anime. And so if you're one of those people who is hesitant to explore the world of older manga and anime, I would fully encourage you to begin to research these mediums to see if there's any classic manga or anime series that you might enjoy, whether any of them connect to modern anime or manga series that you enjoyed. And of course, for those of you already fans of classic manga and anime, I would love to hear what some of your favorites are. How did you discover many of these favorites? Your thoughts on classic manga and anime, your thoughts on why many people these days aren't necessarily interested in them, why they kind of lean more towards modern manga and anime. And of course, if you have any additional information on this topic, I would love to hear it in the comments below. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.